vary.
AM 560, The Answer.
We are all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Business, we talk a lot about business here. On with Get Down to Business, joined over the phone with Dr. William Katz, the director of the Borges Sleep Disorder Center in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And, I've been giving a lot of thought to this. With daylight savings time starting, it means that the sun will be up an hour later in the morning, and for workers that typically might be getting up in the dark, starting their preparations for their workday, or starting work while it's dark out. I'm wondering, is there effect on work habits? Dr. Katz, welcome to the program. Curious to hear your thoughts on how daylight savings time affects workplace productivity.
Well, when we at this time of year, we actually lose an hour, right? So we're moving the clock ahead. We're actually losing an hour of sleep. We've traded an hour of daylight in the morning for an hour of daylight in the evening. And so people are going to work typically sleepier than they normally are until they readjust and readapt. And that alone will change their ability to concentrate, their attentiveness, and ability to do tasks can be affected. So because of this loss of an hour, less sleep does have an effect. When it's dark out, we're supposed to be sleeping. And here we are waking up at times that we usually don't wake up, and we're shortchanging ourselves. We have an internal clock that doesn't change, even though we've changed the clock time. And that clock, what's called our circadian rhythm, which regulates sleep among many other biologic activities, doesn't change for us, just because we decide that it's time to move the clock ahead.
Well, Dr. Katz, you're board certified by the American Board of Internal Medicine in Pulmonary Disease and Sleep Medicine, and it's interesting to watch the effect of sleep on business. We go through this every year. Every year, the clock has changed, and as you said, Doctor, we lose an hour of sleep. How long does it take for an individual, in this case a professional, to adjust to that new sleep rhythm and schedule?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a little bit variable. There's so much individual variability. A gross rule of thumb that some people will use will say, for every hour, 1 day. But some people, it could take up to 2 weeks to get reacclimated to this what seems to be a simple 1 hour time change. So somewhere in that range, the great majority of people are going to fall. Most will be less than that 2 week maximum. But usually a few days, and what people can do to help that, of course, is make sure they maintain good sleep habits and what's called sleep hygiene, things they can do to help themselves sleep, get enough sleep, and then get themselves exposed to light, since light exposure is our single most important external environmental cue that helps us stay awake and alert and functioning.
So what tips do you have for employers at this time of year to help their employees adjust during this time of losing an hour of sleep? You mentioned light, which is important. Are there anything that maybe a boss or a HR manager can be doing in the workplace to help?
Short of letting people get more sleep, come in a little bit later. But,
I like that.
Yeah. But a well-lit environment, of course, is important, and that's probably the single most thing that they can do. Trying to make sure, and it's not their job. People have to police themselves and make sure they don't shortchange themselves and get enough sleep and try to make up for that hour that was lost as quickly as they can, meaning adapt as quickly as they can by readjusting their times when they go to sleep and then get out of bed. But light therapy is used a lot to help with disorders that are induced in the internal clock, the circadian rhythm. So exposure to light is very important, and is probably the single most important thing that can be done.
We're chatting with Dr. William Katz, the director of the Borgia Sleep Disorder Center in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And Dr. Katz is very involved in sleep medicine. He's had 2 fellowships, one in pulmonary disease at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., a second one in sleep medicine at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, and knows a thing or two about sleep. I wish I knew more about sleep. I wish I was able to spend more time resting. I, like many of our listeners, I'm a workaholic, and sometimes I might overdo it. Doctor, is there a recommended number of hours of sleep that you think professionals or really anybody should be getting on the average night?
Okay, and again, there is individual variability, but if for adults, I think if you said somewhere between 7 and 9 hours, 7 to 8.5 hours, that's probably a good place to start. Some people, of course, get by with 6 hours, and some need a little more, might need 10 hours. But if you use that 7 to 8.5, 9 hours of sleep is probably sufficient for the great majority of people, and people that fall way outside of the bell-shaped curve, who get by on 5, 6 hours, less than 6 hours. They're outliers. They might do well, but you can't look at them and compare yourself to them.
And Doctor, do you think it's possible to recharge during the weekend for the week prior, or get ready for the week ahead, for those that might be sleeping 5 or might I be so bold to say less hours a night? Donald Trump, not to bring him into this conversation, but I know he's mentioned that he only sleeps very, very few hours a night. Do you think it's possible to sleep over the weekend 12, 15 hours, and that would be sufficient to charge your batteries for the past week?
Not really. You build up what's called a sleep debt, and you never make it up because it's a debt that accumulates over time. So sleeping twice as much as what might be a normal amount of sleep isn't going to, on Saturday, doesn't make up for what you didn't do on Monday or Tuesday. So not really, and it doesn't change how tired you are as you wander through your week either. So you don't build it up only to use it down the road. So that's really not going to help you a whole lot. Just sleep a decent amount on the weekend, recharge your own battery for that day, for the weekend, and go about your normal activities. But during the week, you're not going to take care of the week by sleeping later on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, everybody wants to be productive. Everybody wants to squeeze as much in, whether it's professionally or personally. Everybody wants to spend as much time traveling and doing all their excursions with family, or squeezing in another meeting in their workday. And what we're hearing from Dr. Katz, again, the director of the Borgia Sleep Disorder Center in Kalamazoo, Michigan, is that you need to watch out for yourself, and you need to get some rest in. But Doctor, final question for you. I'm wondering if there are things that everybody should be doing to avoid distractions when you go to sleep. Is it necessary to turn off the TV or put away smartphones or other devices before bed? How long before bed? What tips do you have around that?
Okay, well, sleep hygiene just is a general term that refers to things you can do to help yourself sleep. We like to tell people in the, say, 30 to 45 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes prior to your chosen bedtime, you just start winding down and just getting things, just taking it easy and relaxing. No, avoiding stimulating things. Just read or listen to some music. Turn the lights a little dimmer. Promotes more melatonin release to help you get drowsy. And stop doing work that you brought home with you, and just relax. And that's just getting preparing for sleep. Some people might want to take a warm bath to help them relax, and that's fine. But anything you can do to relax. And then, I think it's important. The electronics, is kind of out of control, and people have turned the bedroom into a family room with more stuff in the bed with them, between phones and tablets and computers, and the TV's on, and there's all this external stimuli going on, which is going to interfere with sleep. It
Absolutely.
Just doesn't allow for sleep to take place. So,
well, Dr. Katz, we're going to have to leave it there. We're running out of time.
Okay.
How can our listeners find out more about the Borges Sleep Center?
Well, you can get onto the website is sleep.borges.com and find out more about our sleep center and more about sleep information.
We appreciate your time. Would love to continue the conversation. Fascinating discussion about how professionals should be getting ready to lose an hour of sleep and sleep better for the workplace. You're listening to Get Down to Business, the show that's all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We've got more for you after the break.